Catch a nigga slipping at the light, make his heart drop, cut the green beam on, make his car stop. 223s hit his engine block and cut the car off. Dump on the nigga head off yellow zannies, call that bar hopping. My brain like a new car that's in drive with no park options. Make a pussy nigga car reverse when the AR popping. My fiend say he want a black dog, so I'm tar shopping. Finna pour a 6 of thick red, you still par dropping. I gave you boys enough time to drop.
Have you wondered if you can only beat Elden Ring through boss drops? Probably not, but in today's video, I'm not only going to attempt this, but I'm going to try to see if it's even possible to beat Elden Ring with only armors, weapons, talismans, and etc. from killing bosses. But I'll get more into the rules later. Firstly, can you guys make sure to like and subscribe if you like these type of videos, if you want to see more in the future. And for my run, it didn't really matter what type of class I started with because I can't use my weapons, armors, or talismans anyway. So I then tried fisting the grafted silence to death, which is not what it sounds, trust me. And obviously, I do very little damage, and this guy is a relatively tricky moveset for the beginning, so I was unable to kill him. But I'm pretty sure there is later opportunities in this game to get boss drops, I think. And for the first time in quite a while, I actually decided to go through this tutorial for the hopes of the Soldier of Godric dropping a weapon. So I started fisting this guy, and since he has a pretty easy moveset, it was pretty easy just to avoid its attacks and just fist him to death, which did take a pretty long time, but since he's just a regular enemy, I got him down in less than 10 minutes. And while I'm fisting him and just running throughout this area, let me go a little bit more depth into the rules of this run. Firstly, by boss drops only, I'm still going to use like talismans and shit, even though that isn't dropped by a boss, because that's just unnecessary difficulty, and either way, it doesn't affect the, possibility of the run. It's still possible or impossible without the addition of those type of items. But anything that does damage, all talismans, all armors, all spells, all miracles, or whatever you want to call it, and all weapons and shields, have to be dropped by a boss, by me killing the boss more specifically. And also, in terms of fisting the bosses to death, Soldier of Godric was the last guy I'm going to do that to, because technically, although it would be super annoying and super painful, I could fist every single boss and every single enemy to death, including the Elden Beast and Radahn. It is possible, but it is super annoying, and the whole point of this run is to see if it's possible in general. So from now on out, no more fisting. And basically, my strat here was to obviously get Torrent right away. That way, I could sprint all the way to this Church America, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, to go to that secret waterfall, which teleports you to Caelid. This is actually the first time I'm not going to Caelid, my bad, just to kill that giant dragon. I'm actually going to Caelid to try and cheese a boss. And as I was running across this giant bridge to get there, my controller batteries died, and this giant dragon noticed me and absolutely blasted my face off. Now, I'm mentioning this because this is our first death, which, as you can see in the top right, is the first in our death counter, or whatever you want to say. And once I make it past that giant dragon, I do a little bit of naughty and risky parkour to make it to the smaller bridge. And the special little thing about this smaller bridge is at nighttime, a boss will come that's only available at nighttime. And I'm pretty sure, well, I know that you can cheese this boss, because I had an earlier run where I did the exact same thing, but I forgot to stream it, so I couldn't get any of the data, so I kind of just redid this part of the run. Once I get to Radahn, that will be like, the first time I get there. I was getting sidetracked, but now we're on to what we're doing. So basically, I turn this to nighttime, and I start trying to cheese this guy. And low-key, this guy's pretty smart. I thought, by running around the branch outside, he would just follow me and run off with me, but he kind of knows, when to back off. But after a couple tries, I was able to get this guy down. But we both got each other, which would have made me think that I had to redo it, but it actually counted as a kill. But I get a fucking Ash of War, which is probably the most useless thing I could have fucking got, since I don't even have a single measly weapon. And now it is time for phase 2, or not phase 2, just plan 2, which is a lot more detailed, and it's going to take a lot longer than plan 1. Realistically, it should seem simpler because I just have to get to Radahn, but in order to get to Radahn, I would have had to reach at least Atlas Plateau, which is mid-game. And since I'm at the beginning of the game, that's going to take a while, especially because I need to get on a lift, which requires 2 keys. But luckily for me, one of these keys are right where I am right now. So I run up a giant mountain, go through this castle-looking area, and I make sure to avoid these mobs because they will all one-shot me. And then I grab the key here, and then it is time for the run. And I will be running a lot from here on out till I get to Radahn. And you might be wondering, why would I want to get to Radahn? Firstly, he's known for being one of the hardest bosses. He's definitely going to one-shot my ass, and I can't even do a lot of damage to him if I had a decent weapon. And I don't even have any single weapon. But there's a little special thing about this boss fight that I'm pretty sure everyone knows about, and that is that you can summon people. Now, they don't really do a shit ton of damage, and especially because I'm not doing lots of damage or building up status effects, this is definitely going to be very hard. But it is a shot in the dark, and I will make it. That's a little reference to a song there. And also, while I am making this run, just let me know, guys, in the comments, any type of videos you want to see in the future, anything you liked about this video, anything you disliked, anything you want me to improve. Just anything in this video that sparks a thought in your mind, just let me know in the comments. Like it could even be your opinion on toast. I don't care, just let me know something. And once I make it to Liurnia, all I have to do is get my checkpoint at the academy and also find the key to the academy, which is hidden by a giant dragon. Once I can do that, I just enter the academy and take a little skip to this higher part of Liurnia, which I don't know how to navigate to without just going through the academy. Then I just have to worry about these giant flying boulders, which usually always fuck me. And once I make it past those, we are into the Atlas Plateau, baby. Now all there's left to do is go back to Caelid and make my way to Radahn. Well, firstly, I'm pretty sure I have to make it to the inner wall of the Atlas Plateau, or whatever you want to call it, which takes about 30 seconds of running. And I've done this exact type of thing several times before, where I try to navigate my way through Caelid to Radahn, and I always end up getting lost. This is the first time that I found this kind of fortress thing that would lead me in Radahn's direction, but there was this one little cock blocker who would just stand for the doorway and one-shot me. Okay, one-shotting is an exaggeration, and I kind of just stood there like a retard and took it like a good boy. Twice. But eventually I am able to let go of my pride and do a little 360 and go right in that doorway. And I think this is a good time to tell you that I'm not necessarily going for beating the game. Like, I'm obviously going to try and beat the game and whatnot, but once I do get my weapon, if I do get a weapon, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to beat the game. So my goal is to see if I can get a full stack of armor, a full stack of medallions, and some spells, like a good little mage build and whatnot, and just some weapons, all just on boss drops. So that is my goal. I'm still obviously going to beat the game and that shit, but the video is going to be focused more on my journey of getting those weapons and shit. And just like that, it is time for the Radahn Festival. And obviously, you know, my strat here was just to gather all the summons, try to take aggro, and let them do the damage. But let me tell you, this was one of the worst couple days of my life. I struggled on this guy for quite a while, as you could imagine, because I can't damage or do anything like that to him, and I took a shit ton of damage. First of all, these summons half the time would just be flat out retards and not attack them. They would just run right into his attacks and go in circles. So I tried to bait him, obviously, because, you know, I think it'd be easier for me just to learn his moveset and dodge and shit like that while they attack him. But the problem with that is he, like, chases you. It's kind of hard to, like, get him at an angle where he's just hitting you only, besides just running in one direction. Or also just, like, you know, get people in his radius, which once you kill the summons, I actually figured out that you can revive them, but it is a pretty annoying process. And don't hate me for this, but I was using a talisman to help, like, get his aggro on me. Like, that talisman that makes enemies more angry at you, just to make it so, you know, the NPCs had more of a shot. But don't worry, I did not beat the boss by doing that. And I just want to let you guys know that was my first attempt that you just watched, so I do not play like that during all of them. And I think I died to this guy probably around 40 times, which doesn't seem like a lot, especially because in my other challenge runs, I died like around 400 times just to Radahn. But these fights were so long and so tedious. I'm telling you, bro, like, some of these fights took like 8 minutes at least. And just as all hope was like lost, I was getting shit on left and right, and I did not think it was possible for me to beat this guy. I realized that I had another account that did the exact same thing, because I lost all my data and shit. So I got here and I quit. And I swear to God, I've done nothing else different to that account besides, when I killed the horse guy, I remembered to get my souls then and use those souls towards my health, which made me realize that knight cavalry guy, that horse guy that we fought a while back, he dropped runes, and I must have lost them and never used them. So remembering I had this guy, it was a whole new set of inspiration, hope, and just motivation. And soon enough, I was able to get this guy. Turns out being able to get hit twice instead of once makes a huge difference. Also, before I beat him, there was 2 tries where I literally got into a smidge of health left, and it got me so mad. But here's the controversial part, or controversial, I don't know how you say it. He drops a remembrance, which I can just directly take his remembrance and turn into a weapon. It isn't himself technically dropping a weapon, but I think I'm going to consider it because I couldn't find any other ways to get a weapon, and because it's literally, like, he's literally just dropping you something that you don't need to spend any extra souls. Once you get it, you can just immediately turn it into a weapon. So I'm low-key going to let it slide. And this is kind of awkward, but once I have my weapon, I can't quite use it. But it low-key doesn't even do that little damage. It is pretty manageable, and I could honestly kill a couple, like, weakish bosses with this weapon without much of a struggle. But I still do want to get it to, like, you know, do decent damage. So we are now on our next quest, which is to get a shit ton of souls to be able to use this weapon and fucking crush everybody. And the easiest way I thought to do this was to do White Mask Vare's questline. That way I could get teleported to the blood area, and not only can I farm those little munchkins for a shit ton of souls in the blood area, but I could also find the Lord's room and our other room that gives me like a total of 80k runes. And PvP, especially invasions in this game, is just so unfucking fun. Not only does there have to be a summon, there's most likely going to be 2, and they're most likely going to be twinking, which means they're very OP and they're in the early game. So they're going to shit on you, and on top of that, 90% of the time, fucking hunters get summoned, so it's a 4v1. But whatever, it doesn't matter if I win or lose, so I'm not really too mad about that. And basically, what I have to do for his questline, I have to talk to him, invade people 3 times, which just doesn't matter if I win or lose, then talk to him again, where it gives me this cloth that I have to get soaked with blood. And until today, I only thought there was one way to do this and go to that giant top right mountain in Liurnia and soak it there. But as I was watching a guide, it said I could do an entirely different thing and just go to those like 4 belfries and use one of the teleporters, and it's, you know, free like that, because going up that mountain is so fucking annoying. So I eventually make it to the 4 belfries, where I have 4 towers to pick from, and one of them actually puts me in early game, which is exactly where I want to be. And I choose the wrong fucking belfry. And since you need a very rare key to get into each of one of these, I used up my key, and I don't think there's any else that I can find without killing a boss, or just that are after a boss that I have to kill. And as you can see on the map, I'm progressing from that bottom grace all the way up to the top of the mountain. And after doing this for about 20 seconds, getting raped about 30 times by those like magic archer guys, I realized that I don't think you can get up to that top part, because there's like a mountain that you can't get past. So then I realized I have to go back to where I was before with those giant rock flinging guys and just go up that way. And although it was pretty dang easy going up that way, this shit took me about a goddamn hour. And once I grabbed that blood-soaked maiden thingy, I just let this guy fucking kill me, because why not? I then go back to White Mask of Vare, where I'm pretty sure he does cut off my finger, but I don't care, because he gives me the ability to teleport. I don't know why I rolled my R there, but he gives me the ability to teleport to the blood area, which I am so psyched I finally have. I then run past every single living soul inside of this area and get the runes that I need. And even with spending a Kamla 80k runes, I'm still not strong enough to use this weapon. And I'm pretty sure that's because you don't need like 1.5 of the strength like you do in all the other Souls games, or like 70% of the strength, because it is like one weapon on each hand. I'm pretty sure you just need the entire strength. But I still do a decent amount of more damage than I did before, so it's time to challenge one of the weaker bosses. And low-key, I don't know why, but this guy was fucking me up. I was struggling more to this guy than I do like main bosses in this game. I don't know what it was, but like his attacks were either really fast or really delayed, and I just really suck with really delayed attacks. Now, I did only die to this guy like 3 times, but I just felt like I should not have been dying to this guy at all. And I just wanted to kill him for the funs of it, or fun of it, or whatever you say. I really did not want to use Bloodhound's Fang. I really do dislike that weapon. I think it's hella overrated, and it's not even that fun to use. I then started my journey of trying to farm a shit ton of runes from those poor little goblins. And eventually, I was able to get my strength high enough to use this weapon. By eventually, I mean about 10 minutes. And with this new weapon that I can finally use, I decided to challenge another boss, which was able to go down pretty easily because I do a shit ton of damage for a unupgraded weapon. But unfortunately, this guy did not drop shit, which kind of scared me, because that means that other bosses are not capable of dropping stuff, and I might be fucked if that happens. I then decided to go through this giant mine system, which is like right under the outskirts of the capital, or not the outskirts of the capital, the outskirts of Stormveil. This is actually a surprisingly pretty big cave. You could only find the boss from like doing this little secret jump on the elevator, which I thought was pretty cool. And this boss was just kind of a copy and paste giant troll that you do find in quite a lot of places, but he was for some reason smacking me down and giving me some trouble. But that was really just because I got greedy and his AoEs were catching me off guard a little bit. But in no time, I was able to kill this guy, and I actually got a talisman, which is my first, actual earned talisman in this run. I then make my way to this giant where I buy as many somber smithing stones as I can, and then I make it back to Mogwin's palace where I farm these poor little buds a couple more times. That way I can buy all 4 of the smithing stones that he has for sale. That way I can get my weapon to a Kamla +4, which is going to be doing so much more damage than it did before. And now it's time to get souls through farming bosses. And the first boss, or just area that I decided to head to, was Stormveil Castle. And Margit/Morgott are one of those bosses that no matter how many times I fight them, I think I probably fought these guys around 20 times each, but no matter what, their moveset always tricks me and they end up destroying me nonetheless. But luckily for me, I have an insanely overpowered weapon that just destroys this guy's health bar, so no matter what, this guy didn't stand much of a chance. And also, if some of the words that I'm saying sound a little bit unclear or just weird for the rest of the video, that is because I am quite under the weather, and for some reason that's just affecting the way I talk. But after I'm done with Margit, I decide I'm not a pussy, and I decide to run through the main gate. And I also wanted to kill that little soldier guy, because I read on a little fun facts thing that he actually steals a percentage of your runes every time you die. And to get where I want to go, I have to go through 2 waves of these crossbows shooting spear thingies, which the first wave isn't that hard, but the second wave is super hard because it comes one from the back and a couple in the front, and they explode, which makes it super hard to dodge, and it just does a shit ton of damage. But on my second try, I'm able to make it past them, and with that, I'm basically already at Godric. And I low-key think Godric is an underrated fight in terms of difficulty and just funness. I think this is a very fun fight, and honestly, his moveset is a little bit complex, especially for the early game bosses, and if it wasn't for Margit's delay, I would definitely say this is a lot harder of a boss. But nonetheless, I do a shit ton of damage, and I really didn't realize how OP having a +4 special weapon would be at early game, because although this guy is absolutely shitting on me with his attacks, I just do so much more damage than him, it's not even fair. And just like that, I get 1 or 2 level ups, and it's now time to go through the Raya Lucaria Academy. And since I already got the key earlier to do my little maiden quest, this is going to be an absolute breeze. And now, since we're around the half point or maybe even end point of this video, I would love to plug in the idea of you guys perhaps liking or subscribing if you guys like these type of videos, and back onto the video. And now it is time for the Red Wolf of Radahn, which usually gives me quite a bit of trouble. And he still did give me quite a bit of trouble. I did die a couple of times, but that is nothing compared to some of my previous runs where I was dying to this guy around like 60 times. And that's just because of how fast he is, and I'm using a pretty damn slow weapon, and you will really see this later game how slow my weapon is and how much it impacts the fights. And just like that, the Red Wolf of Radahn is down, and now it is time for Renala. And let me tell you, right now I was feeling unstoppable. And there's really nothing to say about the Renala fight that was crazy or anything. It did take me 3 phases to kill her, because I got her super low in the first one, and then I killed 3 of them, and I only thought I killed 2. So I ran around until she came back up, and then I got her on the 3rd one. And once it came to the 2nd phase, you know, it was pretty easy considering how much damage I do. After I killed her, I used her Remembrance because I'm low-key not trying to do a magic build, and now I'm happy with my level and the amount of health I had, so now it was time to get my weapon to +10. And the only spot that I knew where to get a Somber Smithing Stone 5 was at Radahn, and I could have grabbed it earlier, but I forgot to, and now I had to fight this boss. And let me tell you, I struggled on this boss more than any boss in the entire run. And I will get into more detail about that later, because I kind of rage quitted right here, and I will return to this guy later. And for that fight, I was noticing I was taking a shit ton of damage, so I thought the problem was going to be my armor, because I obviously had no armor because I needed to be dropped by a boss, and I couldn't find a boss that dropped it, so I thought I could solve that problem by going to find some armor. So I did the Weeping Peninsula, I grabbed the map, and then I eventually make it over to this Evergale, where I realized I need a stone sword key. So I got my little side quest to get that, where I find this invader, he shits on me, eventually I beat him, I go and I kill Patches, and then I buy that thing from Patches to enter this Evergale. But unfortunately for me, this Evergale has nothing that I need, because I read on the wiki that this guy, his name is Ancient Hero of Zamor, or whatever you want to call it. He is in this Evergale, and he drops his armor upon defeat. But there is several Ancient Heroes of Zamor, and this is the one that absolutely does not drop shit. And yeah, this guy was also a pretty easy fight. I then go ahead and kill this guy, but then after I kill him, I realized that he wasn't a fucking boss, so I couldn't have used his armor. But I'm pretty sure if you fight him in his boss form, he still drops the armor. So that was an L on me, a mistake that I made, and now I don't get shit for armor. But for some reason, I had hopes that his evil version would actually drop his armor, so I'd have to go to nighttime, wait about 5 minutes for him to spawn in, and then get violently butt raped by this guy about 10 times. Okay, you guys might be able to tell that I'm actually saying these lines before watching the gameplay, because that was most definitely 2 times and not 10. And then I went back to fighting these guys. I don't know why I wanted to fight them so bad. I'm sure there was other Somber Stone... fuck, I fucked that up. Jesus. I'm sure there was other Somber Smithing Stone 5s that I could have got, but I just wanted to kill these guys so bad, and the hitboxes that these guys had were very questionable at many times. But eventually, I kind of got a rhythm where I would obviously go for the line guy first, because he's the first guy that comes, but I would bait him to the fog wall, get him to around 60% HP, that way the other guy wouldn't spawn in just quite yet, regain my stamina, let him do his attacks, and then just go full on him until he got to 0 HP, and that would work about 99% of the time. But then the Crucible Knight guy is where I struggled really badly. I mean, firstly, this guy was definitely faster, he had definitely more defense, he had more range, and he just had more health too, so I probably had hit this guy at least 2.5 times more than the other guy to kill this guy. But the main hardest part was not his moveset. I mean, his moveset could be a little bit tricky at times, but as long as I'm just like low-key patient and not spam rolling, it's pretty easy. But his opportunities, this guy has no open windows. As soon as he'll hit, it'll wait approximately like 1.5 seconds. If I was using a regular weapon, a light weapon, a katana, this would all be super easy. But my weapon just doesn't, like, my weapon is too slow for his frame. So if I attacked him as soon as that frame came open, he would still end up attacking me before I could roll away, which just really fucked me up. So it became to a healing contest, and I did not have enough heals, and I did not do enough damage, so I decided to do another little side quest, where I went all the way back to Limgrave to pay my good old pal, the Golden Tree Sentinel, a visit. And let me tell you, there was a huge scaling difference between Caelid and Limgrave. I absolutely shat on this guy. And low-key, there was no reason for me to kill that guy. I kind of just did it for the love of the game. And now it was time for me to level up or just get stronger. And the best way I thought of doing this is obviously going to the wiki and looking at some bosses, and I found 2 easy bosses that would definitely help me out. First is this golem guy in this underground cave. It was a really cool cave, but it was super dark and I couldn't use a torch, so I got lost a shit ton of times, and I had to use a couple videos to get me to the boss. The boss was super cool looking, but obviously it's a repeat boss and he was easy as shit, but that gave me the blue dancer charm, which makes you do more damage at a lower equip load, and since my weapon is pretty damn heavy, it's not going to do too well, but I also don't have any armor, so it gives me a solid 10 more damage, which obviously isn't crazy, but it is definitely useful. And then I thought this boss fight would be so much easier with a distraction, so I needed a Spirit Ash. And the easiest one I could think of is the Tibia Manor, which is literally just around the corner from this cave, so I decided to kill that guy, and I absolutely dogged on him just because of how OP my weapon is. And with that, I am ready for round 2, or I guess round 3 with these guys. Well, firstly, I buy the thing that actually lets me use these Spirit Ashes, and now I'm ready for round 2. My first try back, I was super close and he whipped out this bullshit. I also did grab a couple teardrops and a couple golden seeds, that way I can have some more heals. And I also got a Wanderous Physic. I got those things that heal half your health. I got 2 of them, that way anytime I use it, it gives me full health. But let me tell you, these spirit summons were a fucking game changer, bro. First off, they don't die. They're like skeletons, so you have to hit them twice. And by twice, I mean you have to kill them, and you have to kill them while they're like laying on the floor. And if you don't, they'll just keep getting revived back and forth. So these guys probably died like 20 times a fight, but they wouldn't die, which was so good. A couple times, like eventually towards the end of the fight, he'd get real smart and he'd make sure to kill them. But these guys would just keep distracting aggro. Like I'd bait him, they'd poke him, then I'd run behind him and get a couple of hits on. He'd kill them, and I'd just wait for them to come back. And that was the strat. And after a solid 3-minute fight, this guy was finally fucking dead, and I could claim my measly Somber Smithing Stone 5. I then went to look for a Somber Smithing Stone 6, and I was able to find one at Atlas Plateau, and all I really had to do was fight this NPC. And I wouldn't say NPCs are really brain dead in this game, but you can very easily dictate how they play. You just gotta play a certain playstyle, and that'll reflect what they do. So honestly, if you just kind of go aggressive but play smart, these guys are super easy. And this Somber Smithing Stone 6 was a lot easier to get than the number 5. And since I realized I killed Radahn, all I had to do was kill Moke to get into the DLC, but I did basically 0 damage, and this guy just shat on me. And then I headed right back to Atlas Plateau, because my goal is to beat the Tree Sentinel, Morgott, and just get to the snow area. That way I can finally get some armor. And low-key, the Draconic Tree Sentinel, he's an easy fight. I always used to struggle with this guy, but if you don't panic, this guy is easy as a motherfucker. But there was 2 main problems with this fight. One was definitely more important, which was me having such a slow weapon. I could rarely get off a hit without like him hitting me back. Like I would wait for him to attack, wait for his combo to be finished, and then I'd attack him, but I just couldn't get out fast enough. And the second one was having no armor. I was taking a shit ton of damage from this guy. And although that was a problem that was definitely making this fight harder, most of my deaths were just due to me being very greedy and wanting to kill him fast, and also just like forgetting his moveset and how like he has kind of a weird AoE with basically every single attack. But eventually I'm able to kill this guy, and I run past the entirety of Landale, where I end up finding Godfrey again. But I don't know why I said again, this is the first time fucking fighting this guy. And although I only died to this guy once, I realized that my weapon was a humongous problem. And even for a boss like this who gives you so many openings, my weapon was just so clunky and so slow. So seeing this definitely made me want to change my build, but I kind of left it the same for Godfrey because he is pretty easy and I could kind of beat this. Really a place that I don't like in hopes of a Somber Smithing Stone 7. And after getting raped by a lobster, I'm pretty sure it's a lobster, I get the Somber Smithing Stone 7 on my second try. I then head to Caelid, where I get the Somber Smithing Stone 9 and 8. And since I already got the Ancient Dragon Somber Smithing Stone, that might not be what it's called, but since I already got that one from Moog's Palace or whatever, I can get a weapon to plus 10. But I still have to get a Somber Smithing Stone 1, 2, 5, and 6. So I head down to this little pivot right here to get my number 5, I'm pretty sure. I then go back to the Shunning Grounds to get a 6, and then now my goal is to kill this little bugger right here for some runes. That way I can buy the 1 and 2, and then spend the rest for leveling up, which in hindsight, I don't need to do this because I have that rune farm, which gives me like 10k a minute. But nonetheless, I still decided to fight this guy. And this was such a frustrating fight for no reason. Just all of his attacks that he did just felt bullshit. I know they weren't, and they were definitely a skill issue, but they just felt like they were bullshit and just pissed me off. After killing this guy, I head back to Limgrave and kill the little bear guy here. That way I can get the Marvel tier so I can reset my stats. I literally only need to change one stat, which is my magic stat. And I keep forgetting about the rune farm. Like, I totally forgot about this rune farm until later in the run. So I literally could have just done that rune farm for about a minute and a half and then leveled up the magic. But I did this instead. And just look at the damage this thing does. It is absolutely crazy. And now that I have it at plus 10, I'm ready for Morgott, But before that, I go ahead and buy Morgoth's Shackles, because there's absolutely no chance I'm fighting this guy legit. I mean, this technically isn't like a teaser or anything, but this guy has by far the hardest moveset in the game for me personally, so there's no chance I'm risking it. And after realizing I can use the Morgoth's Shackle twice, I absolutely butt rape this guy because it's an automatic second phase, and it's basically an automatic stagger. And just look at the damage that I do. And once he goes into that second phase thing, I can just go far away and spam my special attacks. And I know I'm acting like a methodical genius who planned this all out step by step, but I just spammed, prayed, and I hoped, and I won. And now the run here is slowly coming to an end, because as I said, obviously I am going to beat the game, but my main goal here, and most likely where I'm going to end the video off, is once I get my full, full set of armor, a shield, and a full thing of talismans. Because low-key, I'm not going to edit this shit and beat the game and do all this editing before Easter comes out. And for some reason, I'm editing this as I'm posting them, as I'm doing the VODs, I'm editing it. And I do not feel like redoing this Easter death kill count thing. And since I was really close to a level up, I decided to try and kill this guy, which did not go so well at first. I eventually make it to the Giants Conquering Heroes grave, which was pretty hard because you had to bait it had this little unique gimmick where you had to bait the enemies into the sunlight to be able to hit them, and obviously I wasn't able to bait them all, so I eventually, once I got later into this level, I had those little black enemies that I couldn't kill chasing me around the entire level. But low-key, this level was pretty short, and there weren't any crazy enemies here, and the boss itself was super easy in its first phase. The second phase kicked things up a little bit, but I only died twice. But eventually, I was able to kill this guy and claim my glorious, glorious reward. Some armor. And since my weapon was so heavy, I could only use a chest plate, but you know what? I'm happy with that. I then go on my hunt for my last talisman to fill the slot. And low-key, bro, these Deathrite birds are cool as shit. This fight is just cinema. I'll let you watch it. But unfortunately, this guy did not drop anything, so I headed back to Limgrave to fight this guy's counterpart. And I low-key didn't realize there was just death birds and Deathrite birds, which made me realize there was levels to this shit. But with that, I finally have 4 talismans, a whole armor set, a shield, and a couple weapons. And I think I'm going to end the video here, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it all so much. If you guys like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment anything, just anything, bro. If you like the video, if you hate it, whatever you want to see. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.